Hey everybody, it's Eric Dorward here, and we are going to actually finish up our Vesta Intruder build here. So if you recall, in the last video, we put the decals on this section. This section is essentially done, but most of the work that I did was painting or taping up the this nose cone here so that we could get the black paint. And the black painting is done. It's pretty good. I mean, it's not flawless. There are a few spots like here where a little bit of paint, black paint, managed to get through. And you'll notice in here, the line isn't as sharp as it could be. That's what you get when you use sharp line paint, but not ultra sharp line. It happens, and it's okay. The one thing that is worth mentioning, however, is so I had to use tape on this, obviously. And for the most part, masking tape is pretty good at releasing, but there was one spot right here where the masking tape took up a chunk of my gray paint, so I had to repaint that. The best way to avoid that is to use a plastic primer spray paint first on the plastic part. So normal spray paint, even the primer, it doesn't bond as well to plastic. This kind of plastic, I'm not entirely sure what kind this is in the Estes nose cones, but it generally bonds pretty well to most of the spray paints I've used. But it's still a good idea to use plastic primer first. It makes a better bond for your regular paint to follow up on. And really, you could just use, it's usually clear. The stuff I have is clear anyway. You can just clear coat it with the plastic primer and then paint it whatever color you want. You don't need to put down the white primer on top of that. But in any event, just something to be aware of. It was actually a fairly sizable hole. It was about a centimeter square, but I've repainted it. I can see it in the light. Maybe you can't, but it's right here. It's fine now. Anyway, so we need to put decals on this. There are a couple decals. One here goes on the back, and again, to figure out where these go, we have the instructions, which are kind of meh, not super helpful. But one of them goes back here, and on the other side, there's kind of two chunks to it right here, and they go around this bit of a bump, whatever you want to call that, protrusion, some sort. So in any event, nice hot water. It was hot. Feels pretty hot. And again, once you can slide it, but there's still some resistance, that's probably about the right time. This is supposed to go kind of around, with some space. It's like something like that, I think. So again, I'm holding the decal down and pulling the blue paper out to line it up right, and then you can move it as you see fit. That looks about right. It's supposed to be kind of centered. I think that's pretty good. Again, using the paper towel to smooth out the decal to get out any little air pockets that might be in there and to dry out the water. Great. Next, this is a longer one. That's fine. The little custard cup I'm using here generally handles pretty much all the Estes decals that I've ever attempted without a whole lot of difficulty, mostly because they tend to curl up like that. But if you have one that's particularly wide, I've had to use more like a cereal bowl for them. Fortunately here my table is quite dusty, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put down another sheet of paper here. The risk here, of course, is I'm going to get a little bit of white fibers on this, but I'd rather get that than the dust from sanding. All right, so this one, boy, did it curl up. Carefully uncurl it. It's supposed to go around this bump. I think it's supposed to be like, I don't know, the observation deck or something. I think I'm going to, well, I need to start it up here because this is the critical location that can't be in front of. That looks pretty good. We'll adjust it as necessary. Yeah, it is not quite lined up. I'm going to throw the next one in so it can soak while I fiddle with this. Again, I want it, the decal should be kind of centered around the center line here. That looks pretty good. I've got, oh yeah, and it's supposed to, it looks like it's supposed to end right before this ridge. So that's just about perfect. This, on the other hand, though, got kind of curled up. So I'm going to have to smooth that out. If you have to work with the decals a lot, try wetting your fingers. That'll make the process go easier, because your dry fingers, if they're very dry, they will just stick to the decal. You'll end up pushing it or potentially tearing it. These things, the decal is exceptionally thin. You know, it's the thinnest of plastics. So it is certainly possible that you could tear it. So be gentle with it. The other thing is, the older the decal, the harder it is to work with. So this is a pretty recent kit, but I have one particularly nice one I bought in a big box when I restarted doing this as a grown-up. And it was fairly old to begin with. It was kind of like a clearance sale, I think. And unfortunately, the decals, they got stuck to the sheet itself, so I couldn't remove them properly. And it wasn't anything I did. It was just they sat there too long. Unfortunately, there wasn't much I could do about that. All right, so I'm making sure that this is in the right place. It looks like I want it to line up around, again, around the black protrusion. It's supposed to basically look identical to the other one that was attached to the cockpit section. So I need to make sure that they're basically in the same spot for this to look right. That looks pretty good. That'll do. Okay. Again, I'm going to smooth things out, dry things out with my paper towel here. And there we go. All right. Now, I've mostly dried this, of course, but it's still ever so slightly wet. It still could move around, so I want to let this sit someplace, like off to the side, so bad things don't happen to it. Last thing we need to do, oh, well, there's this one. I don't think I'm going to use that. Sometimes they give you extra stickers or decals that you don't know where they go. Apply them if you want, don't apply them, it's your rocket, whatever. Anyway, the last thing we need to do is deal with the shock cord and the parachute. So this is the usual business. We're going to be using a larger width shock cord here. So this is a pretty big template here to cut out. There we go. This should be pretty old hat if you've built pretty much any rockets before. This is virtually the same technique every single time. And all my finishing components are right here. Break out the wood glue. 3 narrow stripes that glue ought to do. Shock cord goes in the middle. Speaking of old kits, this is where in other videos I've been finding old, like 20-year-old kits just lying around. We would not use the elastic for those because elastic doesn't last forever. Here we go. So old elastic, I mean, you can obviously replace it with new elastic, but that's a place where I end up using Kevlar more often than not. It's pretty strong. It's not utterly flame resistant, but it can take a lot of abuse. So it works quite well. Plus it's pretty cheap. All right, so that's all done. We're going to put it into the bottom half of the rocket now. go. Glue. And in it goes. Again, push it in as far as I can reach with my finger easily, and then smush it down against, excuse the middle finger there, but that's my longest finger. That's pretty well smushed in. Good to go. Final step, at least that I'm going to do, is to get the parachute prepped anyway. I'm not going to attach it right now. I'm not going to put all this stuff together until that glue that I just put in dries, and the decals are nice and dry as well, so you don't need to be messing with them. You don't need to give it any cause for looking ugly. In any event, this is optional, of course. This is what I like to do. I like to use one of the fishing barrel swivel things that allow the parachute to spin instead of getting tangled. Got my selection here. Looks like I'm going to have to order some more of these pretty soon, running low. This is about the size that I like for most parachutes. These ones work great for bigger ones. This one's not all that big. The key thing, though, is that this has to fit around this part right here. And this is going to be kind of close. So, yeah, I got a lot of big ones. Let's use a big one. Wouldn't hurt. So, how do you do it? Gather up all the threads, like so. Make sure they're not tangled. Loop them all together. Take the loop, make it narrower than that. There we go. Loop goes through the eye. And then push the loop through like so. That's all set. Unclasp this. Clasp it in there. And yeah, I think this is the right choice. I think the medium-sized one would have been too small. And that's it. All right. Shock cord needs to be tied. All this stuff needs to be packed. And I'm going to give this a clear coat of spray paint at the very end once the decals are dry, just as a protection. So that'll work well. All right. Well, thanks for watching. This is actually the end this time, and we'll see you in the next build. See you then.